Arionne Curry has once again found herself in the middle of Huntsville's chaos, and this time, the internet isn't holding back. What started as yet another one of her unpredictable lives quickly spiraled into a heated online debate that left viewers shocked, disappointed, and ready to call her out. People were expecting the usual rant, a few subtle jabs, maybe a little self-defense, but nobody expected her to drag Melody Sherry's kids into the conversation. And that's where everything took a dark turn. Because no matter what happens between adults, everyone knows that bringing children into grown folks' mess is crossing a line you can't come back from. Yet Arionne went there, and now she's dealing with the heavy backlash that came with it. The live started like many of her others, scattered thoughts, defensive tone, and her usual frustration about how the world sees her. She jumped from topic to topic, 1 minute talking about dinner and Wi-Fi, the next minute talking about Martell Holt, Melody Sherry, and her own kids. But then, as she kept talking, she made comments that directly referenced Melody's children, and that's when the viewers lost it. The comments started flooding in faster than she could read. People were calling her out, saying she was out of line and needed to leave those kids alone. Some even said they had once tried to understand her side, but this was it, this was the moment they were done giving her grace. And honestly, that reaction was expected. Because for years, Arionne has been walking a fine line between being the woman wronged and being the woman who refuses to take accountability. In this recent live, she once again claimed she did nothing wrong, saying people only know her through a show she's not even on. She said everyone judges her based on what they see on Love and Marriage, Huntsville, but they've never given her a fair chance to tell her side. Her exact words were that she doesn't feel the need to hold herself accountable because she doesn't believe she did anything wrong. That statement alone sent the internet into a frenzy. People were quick to point out that accountability is exactly what she's been missing, and it's the reason why she keeps finding herself in the same cycle of public criticism and emotional breakdowns online. When you look closely, it's almost like Arionne is trapped in the past, stuck in the version of herself that first became known to the world as the other woman. She's still trying to explain, still trying to be understood, still trying to rewrite her own story. But what she doesn't seem to realize is that the more she speaks, the more she exposes how deep her hurt runs. Viewers who once felt sympathy now mostly see frustration and bitterness. And when she drags innocent children into it, it makes it even harder for anyone to see her as a victim. Because even if Martell did manipulate her, and even if the public hasn't been fair, there are some lines you don't cross. And Melody's kids. Those are one of them. It's almost sad to watch, because deep down you can tell Arionne wants validation. She wants to be seen beyond the headlines and the gossip. She wants people to see her as a woman who made mistakes but grew from them. The problem is, her actions keep contradicting that story. Every time she says she's moved on, she goes live and proves otherwise. Every time she says she's over Martell, she brings him up again. And every time she says she's focusing on her kids and her peace, she stirs up more drama that puts her and her children right back in the spotlight. It's a painful cycle, one that's not only hurting her image but also making her the center of criticism she claims she doesn't want. When she started talking about Melody's kids, people didn't just see it as shade, they saw it as a desperate attempt to hit where it hurts. Melody's children are her pride and joy, her motivation, and the heart of her healing journey. So for Arionne to even mention them, no matter what her intent was, felt cruel to the fans who've watched Melody rebuild her life piece by piece after everything she went through. The timing made it worse too, because Melody has been in such a positive space lately, focusing on her businesses, her kids, and her peace. Seeing Arionne's comments felt like a reminder of the pain she's worked so hard to move past. And that's why the internet exploded with anger. They weren't just defending Melody. They were defending the boundary between adult drama and innocent children who didn't ask to be part of any of this. Now, to understand why this live hit so hard, you have to look back at Arionne's history with the public. Ever since her relationship with Martell Holt became public, she's struggled to separate her personal identity from the scandal. The world met her through controversy, and she's been trying to control that narrative ever since. But instead of choosing silence or growth, she often turns to social media to vent. And while she might see it as a way of defending herself, the viewers see something different, someone who can't let go. Someone who still needs to prove she wasn't just the side piece in someone else's story. And that constant need to explain has become her downfall. Even in this live, When women tried to have an honest conversation with her, it became clear that she still doesn't understand how to separate accountability from justification. When one woman told her that it seemed like she never really owned up to her part in the affair, Arionne immediately got defensive. She said people only want her to apologize to make themselves feel better, but she's not going to say sorry just to please others. She argued that she's already said she was wrong in the past, and that everyone just refuses to listen. But the tone she used and the way she kept circling back to blame others made it hard for anyone to believe her. Because saying "I was wrong," but isn't the same as simply saying "I was wrong." It's clear that Arionne still carries resentment, not just toward Martel, but toward Melody, toward the fans, and toward anyone who reminds her of what happened. When she said, "Y'all only know me through that show," it was like she was trying to distance herself from her own story. But the truth is, she was part of that story, whether she wanted to be or not. And even though she wasn't on camera, her presence shaped the entire storyline. Her choices changed lives. And that's what people want her to acknowledge. Not because they want to shame her forever, but because accountability is the first step toward healing. The live continued to spiral as the conversation went on. Arionne began arguing with viewers, interrupting, getting emotional, and defending herself even harder. One woman on the live told her that she's beautiful, that she has potential, and that she needs to move on with her life. She told Arionne that she could be successful and happy if she just let the past go. But instead of accepting that as encouragement, Arionne took it as criticism. She said people always want to see her break, that they follow her just to see her fail. It was clear she doesn't trust anyone anymore, not even the people who genuinely try to uplift her. And that's when you realize this isn't just about fame or drama. It's about pain. It's about a woman who's been defined by her worst mistake and doesn't know how to redefine herself outside of it. At one point, another viewer told her that what hurts people the most is her refusal to take responsibility. They told her that she always tries to justify her actions by saying she was young or that Martel misled her. And that even though she might have been manipulated, there comes a time when you stop blaming others and start owning your choices. That's when things got tense. Arionne raised her voice and started pointing out that everyone seems to forget that Martel was the married one, not her. She said people put all the blame on her because it's easier to attack the woman than the man. She said, "Why y'all mad at the girl when it was y'all husbands doing the chasing?" That statement divided the audience even more. Because yes, Martel absolutely deserves accountability, but two wrongs never make a right. What makes this whole situation even more frustrating is that deep down, Arionne makes some valid points. She's right that Martel was the one who made vows. She's right that society often shames the woman more than the man in situations like this. But the way she delivers her truth overshadows the message. Her tone, her defensiveness, and her unwillingness to acknowledge her part keep her stuck in the same narrative. People can't sympathize with her because she doesn't allow them to. Every conversation turns into a battle, and every live turns into a defense speech. And when she starts bringing up the kids, all the potential empathy disappears. While Arionne continues to fight for understanding, Melody. Sherry continues to rise. Melody isn't responding, she isn't engaging, and she isn't taking shots online. She's focused on her work, her kids, and her peace. And that's what makes people respect her even more. Because true power isn't in clapping back, it's in knowing when silence says more than words ever could. Melody has already lived through public humiliation, betrayal, and emotional pain, yet she carries herself with grace. And every time Arionne tries to shake that, Melody proves she's unbothered. That quiet confidence is what separates the two women. Melody moved on. Arionne is still trying to prove a point. After the live went viral, blogs picked up clips and headlines started flying. Words like meltdown, backlash, and disrespect started trending. Fans flooded the comments calling for Arionne to stop mentioning Melody's family altogether. Some said she needs therapy, not Instagram. Others said she should have been added to the show years ago to tell her story properly, but now, it's too late. The damage is done. Because every time she goes live, she confirms what people already believe, that she thrives off chaos. And that's why Carlos King has made it clear, even without saying her name, that she won't be on Love and Marriage, Huntsville anytime soon. His cryptic post about protecting your platform from chaos said everything without saying anything. It's almost ironic that Arionne keeps insisting she's the real storyline, yet she's the only one not getting paid from it. She once said that without her, there would be no Huntsville. But what she doesn't realize is that the show outgrew her. It evolved past the scandal. And while she's still sitting in the same space emotionally, everyone else has moved forward. The cast has new businesses, new storylines, and new challenges. But Arionne's story hasn't changed. It's the same pain, the same blame, the same need to be seen. And now, with her dragging Melody's kids into it, the little bit of sympathy she had left from the public is gone. It's sad because Arionne isn't a villain by nature. She's a woman who made mistakes, got caught up in a situation that spiraled out of control, and then couldn't find her way back. But at some point, you have to stop living in your mistakes and start rewriting your future. The longer she keeps going live to defend what can't be defended, the longer she'll stay stuck in the same emotional space. People have tried to tell her that accountability doesn't mean humiliation. It means freedom. Once you own what happened, it no longer has power over you. But she hasn't learned that yet. The conversation in her life could have been healing. It could have been a chance for her to show growth. The women talking to her weren't attacking her, they were trying to understand her. But instead of listening, she turned it into another argument. Every question was met with defensiveness, every piece of advice was met with sarcasm. And when things got too real, she deflected back to Martel and the wives. It's almost like she doesn't know how to have a conversation without turning it into a confrontation. That's why so many people say she needs to log off, take a step back, and find peace offline. When you look at this whole situation from the outside, it's clear that Arionne is fighting a battle she's already lost, not because people hate her, but because she refuses to grow. The public would have given her grace if she had just said, "I was wrong, I learned from it, and I'm moving on." But every time she opens her mouth, she erases that possibility. And the sad part is, she doesn't realize how much she's hurting herself in the process. She keeps saying she doesn't care about being on the show, but every other sentence contradicts that. She says she's moved on, but her actions say she hasn't. Meanwhile, Martel is out here doing what Martel does best, avoiding accountability too. He's trying to clean up his image, talking about co-parenting in business deals, while Arionne keeps reigniting the flames he left behind. It's almost like he knows she'll always take the blame publicly, and he uses that to his advantage. While she's getting dragged online, he stays quiet. And that's what makes people angrier. Because it feels like Arionne is fighting alone for a man who never fought for her. Now the backlash has reached the point where even people who once supported her are stepping away. They're saying enough is enough. The energy has shifted. Fans are no longer entertained, they're concerned. Because it's no longer drama, it's a cry for help. You can hear it in her tone, see it in her frustration, and feel it in the way she argues with strangers online. She's tired, but she doesn't know how to stop. And unless something changes, she's going to keep spiraling every few months, repeating the same patterns and wondering why the world won't give her a break. If there's one lesson in all of this, it's that healing and accountability go hand in hand. You can't move forward without owning your past. And you can't expect respect while disrespecting others, especially children. The internet may have its flaws, but one thing it won't tolerate is someone dragging kids into adult business. That's where the line is drawn. And Arionne crossed it. The only way she can recover from this is by going silent, reflecting, and truly changing. Because at this point, words won't fix it. Only actions will. As the drama continues to fade and the internet moves on to the next topic, one thing is certain, this moment will be remembered. Not just because of what Arionne said, but because of what it revealed: a woman still battling the consequences of her own choices, trying to find peace in the middle of chaos she keeps creating. And maybe one day, when the cameras, blogs, and comments are gone, she'll finally realize that peace was never going to come from defending her past. It was always going to come from letting it go.